All right, so good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jesse, and I am with Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. If you're joining us for the first time, we are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world. I want to do a huge thank you to all our teachers joining in. I know it's a really odd time to be a teacher, so whether you're joining live or on YouTube, I really appreciate you tuning in as we continue to celebrate such amazing people and organizations around the globe. So February is always our biggest month. We kick out all the men and spend the entire month featuring incredible women in science and exploration across the globe. And this year, it's more exciting than ever. In addition to our wide array of programs throughout the month, we also, coming up February 12th through 14th, have our Women Blaze Trails Festival. So this is almost 50 programs, all featuring incredible women. I think we're broadcasting from 22 countries. It's going to be an incredible celebration of a lot of really, really amazing women. So do check that out. Check out the website below. I really encourage you guys to tune in, and it's free for everyone involved. But today we are diving back in. So earlier today we had the chance to visit with Lindsay Rustad. She got to make forests, create her own ice storm in a forest. And so that was a really cool segue into today's presentation, where we are joined by Chelsea Burnett. So Chelsea is with the Texas Storm Chasers. She's going to walk us through her career today, some of the amazing things and phenomena she's got the chance to cover and be part of live. And I want to say a huge shout out to all the groups joining in on YouTube. We had 120 classrooms register for this program, which is mind-blowing. And as usual, whenever we have a Texan on the program, half of Texas shows up. So way to go. You guys are an amazing state. It's always such a thrill having Texas classrooms involved. And so welcome into all of you. Without further ado, Chelsea, thank you so much for joining us today, and take us away.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Chelsea Burnett, and I am with Texas Storm Chasers. We are a group of 6 storm chasers, 3 guys and 3 gals who just have this huge passion for weather. So I'm going to talk to you all today about storm chasing, show you a couple of video clips that not a whole lot of people have seen outside of this, and also give you some tidbits and a background look at just what a storm chaser is, because it might surprise you. So I'm going to go through kind of a presentation style talk, and then after about 20 minutes or so of that, we'll jump into that Q&A. So have those questions ready. I'll be ready. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we will go ahead and get this presentation started. So I'm going to share this here, and then we are going to start. There we go. All right. Presentation mode. Here it goes. Again, Texas Storm Chasers. That is us. And again, my name is Chelsea Burnett. I'm going to take the next 5 minutes or so and just talk to you about who Texas Storm Chasers is, and again, who am I? You know, what makes me cool and awesome and fun to talk to. So Texas Storm Chasers was started back in 2009 when 2 high school boys went out and videoed some wildfires that were happening out west of DFW. And those videos went viral that year. So the 2 of them saw a need to be able to provide content to our local residents and, of course, throughout all of Texas on ongoing weather situations. So fast forward, what is that, 12 years or so? And here we are. We've grown to 6 people. I just happen to be the more talkative one of the group, willing to get out and get in front of classrooms like yours and just talk about weather and being a storm chaser. So, well, who am I? I am from the state of Oklahoma. So I grew up in Oklahoma, which you may or may not know, that is the mecca of Tornado Alley. That is the heart of Tornado Alley. I grew up with weather all around me. I have family members who told me that I was never scared of storms. That was kind of their first inkling into Chelsea might be interested in this stuff. I would always wake up at night to the thunder. I'd peek out the blinds and watch and see the storm, see the lightning going on, over our house. And then when I was young, I just never was scared, no matter how bad the storms were. So my first recollection of when I knew I was interested in weather was 6th grade earth sciences. Shout out to any 6th graders out there and to you teachers who teach science. Miss Shivers, I'll never forget her name. We covered the topic of weather. And from that point forward, I was completely drawn in. A year later, I had my first experience with a really bad weather situation, and that was the May 3rd, 1999 tornado outbreak across central Oklahoma. This was one of those events that jolted me awake. It tuned me in, and from then on out, I knew I wanted to be involved with weather. So my 7th grade math teacher, Mr. Kane, shout out to you math teachers out there. He told me, he said, Chelsea, if you want to be a weather person, you've got to know all your math, and you're doing really great right now. So keep up the good work. So I had that one plan, went through high school, got to my college years, and I went to the University of Oklahoma, which of course is one of the best weather schools in the US. That is where I started running into some problems. I could not get past that math. Math was so hard in college that I actually dropped out of the program, which led me to move to Texas. So I ended up getting my degree in business, which is all well and good. And in that time frame, I met Texas storm chaser David Reimer. He's the owner of the group. We met at a local weather conference one year, and he invited me out to storm chase that following year in 2011. So I went on my first storm chase, didn't see a tornado. I saw a really cool wall cloud that I took a picture under. But after that, life kind of took over. I was in school. I had a big job. I got married and had a baby. So fast forward to 2015. 2015, at the very end of the year, I saw my very first tornado. So December 26th, 2015 was the day I saw my first tornado. And I should add that it was at night. It was at night, the day after Christmas, which if you know tornado weather well enough, you know that's a very odd time of the year for that to happen. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But in that time frame, since 2015 through May of 2020 last year, I have seen 27 tornadoes and counting. So that's just a little bit about me. I'm going to show you all a video here next. It is a compilation of the tornadoes that I have witnessed so far, and it's got some music to it. So here we go. Boy. All right. So that last scene where you see the tornado out the back window, it gives me chills every time. So what is a storm chaser? Why are we out there? What the heck drives us to be a storm chaser, besides the obvious passion for weather? Well, a lot of storm chasers, if we're there to be eyes on the ground. We're there to be the boots on the ground. The meteorologist at the news stations, the meteorologist at the different National Weather Service offices, they have their meteorology team inside taking measurements with weather balloons that they launch. They're looking at the radar, but they don't know exactly what's going on outside because they're not out there. That is where storm chasers come into play. We are out there in the field, in the middle of it all, and we're able to utilize technology these days to be able to report things and to confirm things. So the screen you're looking at here, we're going to start here on the left. It is a picture of a typical nice day here in North Dallas. There's nothing on the radar. It's pretty quiet. But for the purposes of illustrating this, I wanted to show you guys, it's an app called Radar Scope. This app with a subscription can get you this information. I am able to tap on this button down here, say if there was a storm going on, and then it opens up a menu where I can make one of two kinds of reports. They essentially do the same thing, but I tap one of those and it opens up into the window on the right. There you see, I'm able to report a tornado, a funnel cloud, and a wall cloud. Of course, you might be thinking, wait a minute, what are the differences? A wall cloud is the base where the tornado comes out of. A funnel cloud is basically a tornado that hasn't touched the ground yet. And then a tornado is, of course, when that funnel cloud reaches the ground. So we can report those different stages. We can report hail, wind, flood, and anything else that might be going on, such as a wildfire or what have you. So storm chasers are very essential to the National Weather Service being able to issue those tornado warnings, those severe thunderstorm warnings, in a much quicker fashion than before. So when I'm not storm chasing though, this is what I do in the months like February, like right now, where there isn't a whole lot of severe weather. I give talks to groups like you. I do podcasts. I talk to classrooms. I used to do it in person. I even give presentations at local, I don't want to say arboretums, but like a planetarium type of theater. So in my downtime, I like to give presentations like the one I'm giving today. So storm chasers, essentially, we don't get paid to do what we do. We can, in some ways, we can work for a news station and be a storm chaser for a news station and get paid per job or per chase that we go on. We can also sell our footage. We can sell pictures, and we can sell video to local and national news outlets. That's also how we can recoup some of our costs. Otherwise, storm chasers, 75% of the time, look like me. I'm a mom, I'm a spouse, I'm a full-time employee. I do storm chasing because I'm passionate for it, and it's just fun. That's the only way I could put it. So here's another video of some hail, and this video comes to you from other members of Texas Storm Chasers. And this does have some audio to it, so feel free to laugh at it. It's pretty funny to listen to. Most of it is David, Jason, and Paige, so enjoy. Watch that hail go across the road. Hear how loud it is. Watch the windshield. Uh-oh.
That was the back window. I'm in trouble. Run! Oh, those are some... Oh!
Big hail falling here. Watch the big one coming up. There it is.
Oh no. These are huge and dense. Oh no. Nice.
So I know some of you teachers are probably watching this going, oh my gosh, what is their auto insurance like? You can totally email me and ask me those questions after the presentation. So if this has intrigued you and you're thinking to yourself, man, storm chasing, that's something I would really like to do. Here are a few things I would like for you to start with. These are things that I personally started with throughout my journey from a kid to being in high school and college up till now. So when I was a kid, I loved reading National Geographic magazines, especially the ones about weather. Of course, nowadays, instead of having to go check them out from the library like I used to do, you can get these online. You can, with your parents' permission, get on the computer, Google National Geographic, and be able to pull up those types of magazines. Also, Weatherwise magazine, and then the Earth magazines. Also, with your parents' permission, you can download the YouTube Kids app. This app is going to have all kinds of videos on everything having to do with weather. Tornadoes, hail, lightning, flooding, hurricanes, you name it. Also, as you get a little bit older, for you grade school students, there is something online called the Young Meteorologist Program. Just have your parents Google search that. It'll come up on a website. You're able to download a PDF, which is just something that you could print out on your computer. It's a booklet. It has coloring pages. It has all kinds of information that you can learn more on. And then when you're in high school, about college, I've known some middle school age students who did this too, but there is an online training program called Skywarn Storm Spotter Training. This is something that I've attended multiple times in the past in person. And guess what? They only held it one day a year. So if you couldn't make it that one day, you were out. However, now all your parents have to do is Google search that as well. It'll pull up the National Weather Service website. They click on a link. It opens up into a Met Ed website where you can register for the course and take it. All of these things are completely free, including, here's a shameless plug here into Texas Storm Chasers. We have an app called the Texas Storm Chasers app. It's available on the Android and Apple stores, Google Play, I believe. And that app will give you notifications when we put out blogs on upcoming weather events. It's not just severe weather, it can be winter weather when we get that random snowstorm, on occasion. We have a high HD interactive radar on there. And we just have some really cool things that you can play around with. So those are the ways that I would suggest that you get involved with that. So with that said, that may have taken 20 minutes. I wanted to be sure to leave enough time for you guys to ask all the questions. So right here, this is my email, and this is also our website. We are also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We just signed up for TikTok a week ago. So we're all on there. Just look up Texas Storm Chasers. And with that, I'm going to end my screen sharing here and toss it back over to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chelsea. That was amazing. We've got groups joining in at least 15 other classrooms on YouTube from Colorado, Florida, California, North Carolina, Alabama, across Ontario and beyond. So welcome into all those groups. If you're not in that list and you haven't let me know where you're joining from on YouTube, please do. I'd love to hear it all. And let's dive in with questions. We're going to take a few from YouTube, from our live groups as well. I'm going to start with Miss Foster's class, joining us in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. If you guys want to kick us off with a question, come on in. Hi, guys.
How do you know exactly where the tornado is going to form?
Good question. So storm chasers begin planning their storm chases days, sometimes a week or two in advance, depending on how well they trust the weather models, right? So storm chasers, they look at signals that the models put out. It could be the way the trough is coming in. It could be some temperature changes. It could be some moisture changes. All these little clues clue us in to be able to start paying attention. Also, we have a resource called the Storm Prediction Center. And every day they issue outlooks from today out 7 days. So we're able to know in the next 7 days whether or not the Storm Prediction Center thinks something might happen. So we just pay attention to the weather models. We pay attention to what the Storm Prediction Center says. And as those possible events get closer, we are able to fine tune the timing and the area that we are going to potentially chase in. So great question. Thank you. And being from Tuscaloosa, you guys are no strangers to tornadoes at all. So
very, very cool. Thanks for the first question, guys. Speaking of places familiar with big storms and tornadoes, let's head to Aubrey, Texas, Miss Emery's class for grade 5s. I know. If you guys want to demute your microphone and come on in. Hi, Miss Emery's group. And yeah, come on up. Ask a question if you have one. Your teacher just needs to unmute your microphone. There you go. Hi, guys.
Eric, go. Ask a question, Eric.
Go for it, guys. Yeah.
Question. Do you have any other machines that you use to predict where the tornado is going? Like any other machines?
Yeah.
okay, so I think I heard a two-part question. Are there any equipment that I use for chasing, and do I chase with anybody else?
Yep.
Okay, if I heard that correctly, yes, we try not to chase alone because there's too many things to pay attention to. I can't keep my eye on the road, keep my eye on the sky, keep my eye on my phone, keep an eye on my charging equipment. I can't do that all alone. So I at least chase with one other person, maybe two, because let's be honest, it helps cut the gas bill, right? So when I chase, I have a dash cam that is constantly running. I have a DSLR camera. So it's a digital camera with a memory card I can take pictures with multiple lenses to get up close or wide angle shots. I also have a handheld camcorder. It does not run on tape though. So I am that old where I used to have one of those. But so I have cameras. I chase with a cooler full of food because sometimes we just don't have time to stop anywhere to eat. And let's be honest, a lot of the weather's happening out in very remote rural areas where there aren't any places to stop and get Whataburger or Chick-fil-A or what have you. So I do chase with other people. with Texas Storm Chasers, there's 6 of us. Sometimes other people in our weather community want to come with us. So we're not just exclusive to our little group. We are friends with a lot of people from all over the U.S., and it just depends on who's in the area at the right time. So good questions.
Great question, guys. All right, let's head up to Michigan, Spring Arbor, Michigan, for Miss Severance's grade class. If you guys want to come on in, demute your mic, you're good to go for a question. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
You have a question? All right, Manly, come on up. Talk really, really loud.
What about you guys get hurt?
What if you guys get hurt?
Oh, good question. So that app that I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, where we could report and notify the National Weather Service of any events, if we ever get hurt, my position is located here on the GPS. So on the computer version of this radar scope app, our dots are green if we're constantly on the app, then they go yellow if we're inactive, and then they go red if we haven't been active for a long time. So that is like one of the first things that people pay attention to, and we've had to utilize that with other chasers before. So, and then my family, my spouse, who is also a storm chaser, and my parents, they all have my location that I share with them constantly. So if for some reason we're separated, or if my parents are worried about me, they're able to just tap on my name and look at my location and where I'm at. So, and thirdly, we just keep in constant contact with people. You know, in the event that we should get hurt, the authorities would be alerted pretty quickly. We've already had to exercise this kind of thing a few years ago when a couple of storm chasers passed away in West Texas due to a wreck. So yes, those unfortunate events have happened, but I like to think that we are more than equipped to handle it if it should happen. But that's the first time I've been asked that. So good question.
Great question, guys. And it's something that we've been getting a lot on YouTube as well, is about the danger of storms. Can they be fatal to people? And so it's really important to note how much prep goes into this, how much planning goes into storm chasing, whatever the kind of storm you're looking for is. And this is something we featured on this broadcast a lot. So I'm glad when we can get that question, guys.
Me too.
All right, let's head up to our family joining in Ontario. Tina, if you want to unmute your microphone and come on in, go for it. Hi.
Hello. Oh, we just had a quick question of what is in the past of all the storms that you've been through, which one is your favorite?
I love it. Gives me goosebumps. I love this question. May 25th, 2016, Chapman, Kansas. I noted that my first tornado was in late 2015. So fast forward a few months into May of 2016, it was my first major daytime tornado. I had seen a couple of daytime tornadoes before, but it was at dusk. This particular storm in Kansas, it was a 90-minute EF4 that was on the ground the entire time. We watched it from birth until end. And so to witness the birth of a tornado, watch it throughout its entire life cycle for an hour and a half, and then watch it dissipate as if nothing happened, was probably the single most coolest things, with my son being born just above that. So very cool storm. Good question.
Yeah, super cool. And a question from about 50 groups on YouTube as well. So glad we covered that one.
Yep.
Castro family has just joined us in the background, so welcome into you guys. I will come to you guys in just a second, but I know you just came in, so listen to a few other questions and then come up with a good question for Chelsea in a minute. I'm going to take a few from YouTube right now. So Mr. Mayott's class wants to know, what's the biggest hail you've ever seen?
Oh gosh, I want to say baseball size. This happened actually last year in Quanah, Texas. So for anybody who's in North Texas, Quanah, we actually got caught up in a surprise hailstorm. We thought we were positioned far enough away from the core of the thunderstorm, and to our disbelief, we started getting pummeled by some pretty large hail, you know, anywhere from baseball size hail. So, and of course, it put some nice cracks in the windshield. So that's probably the largest that I have witnessed personally. Good question.
I love the videos of all the hail. It really is amazing. And something that, when it gets to be that big, you really do not want to be outside in hailstorms or any of these things. Always, be sure to keep safe, whatever your situation may be. Ms. Controy's class, grade 5, 6s in St. Catharines, they want to know, have you noticed an increase in the frequency or amount of dangerous storms over the past number of years?
It's a really good question because I want to compare it to what I've witnessed, but I know that that's not accurate. I would probably say that it feels like it's about the same. However, the areas that are being impacted are slightly different than normal. A lot of people kind of feel like Tornado Alley is shifting more east, into the Midwest and along those states throughout the east from here. So I don't have a hardcore answer for that, but I do. Yeah, so that's a possibility.
We've had a lot of big, sort of large-scale climate scientists on the program that have definitely charted a huge increase in a lot of storms, whether that be hurricanes, droughts, fires, tornadoes, what have you. In a personal experience way, you haven't seen that directly, but it's interesting that you note the shift of location too, and we've featured this in other storm chaser programs, which is actually quite a bad thing. There's a lot of more empty land in sort of the heartland of the United States than there is closer to the East Coast. This is something that we're really tracking and wanting to make sure that it's something that people are prepared for, because if you're not used to avoiding tornadoes as a community or as an individual, it's quite a shift of mindset.
Agreed.
All right, let me check in with Miss Mackey's class, Holy Trinity Catholic School. They want to know, is it difficult to be a storm chaser? How close do you have to be to a tornado? How close have you ever been to a tornado in your career?
It can be, and it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. So not one storm chaser is the same as the next. I mentioned that I'm a mom, I'm a spouse, I'm a full-time employee. So what makes it difficult to be a storm chaser is just time. I share custody of my son with his dad, and it's a 1 week on, 1 week off. So the weeks I don't have him, I try to get out there and chase everything that I can. But I'm absolutely 100% mom when he's home with me. Of course, there's job responsibilities that I have to tend to first. And it just depends on what you're trying to accomplish. So that's a yes and no question. And then how close have I been to a tornado? That Chapman, Kansas one, we were less than a quarter mile away from it. So which borderline's a little scary.
A little too close for comfort, but very, very cool.
For some.
I'm really glad you mentioned the family backdrop. It's not something that we hear about in a lot of our broadcasts, and it's really important that scientists, explorers are people and have the same issues and challenges that every other person has. So it's an important note to make. So thank you for that, Chelsea.
Of course.
All right, I'm going to take one more question, which I love, from YouTube, and then we're going to go back to our live classes for a minute. So Warner in Miss Morrison's group wants to know, how many windshields have you gone through?
Personally, I just have the one, because the few cracks I do have in my windshield, they're out of the line of sight. And here in Texas, when you have your vehicle inspected, as long as the crack isn't running through your line of sight, you're good. So I've had the same windshield. This is the original windshield in my vehicle. Yeah.
You are the luckiest storm chaser of the
I am.
Your colleagues are in a lot worse shape than you are, but we'll get to the auto insurance part later.
Yeah.
Castro family, welcome in Del Rio. Do you guys have a question for Chelsea? Come on in, guys. Hi. Hi, everybody. Nice.
All right, what is your question, Everly?
How big can tornadoes get?
That's a great question. So tornadoes are measured on a scale called the Enhanced Fujita scale, and it goes from a 0 to a 5, with 5 being the worst. This simply means that tornadoes can be on the ground for an hour or two, maybe longer. It also means that their wind speeds can approach 300 miles per hour or more. So when we're talking about physical width of tornadoes, EF5s can be, 2.5 miles wide, which is insane.
That's
good question.
Great. Yeah, guys. All right, we're going to go to Miss Foster's class, who appear to have some artwork ready for you, too. So back to Alabama.
I love it.
Way to go, ladies.
Thank you.
Who does your auto insurance?
It's Progressive, but I don't make claims, so.
There you go. There's our shameless plug, Progressive Auto Insurance. Right on. You have another question for Chelsea?
What was your
question? You have another question?
That was my question.
Oh.
What was the other?
I don't think we did.
No, that's okay. I'll come back in a minute if you do then, but what I'll do right now is go back to Miss Emery's class, so back to Aubrey. You guys have another one for us? Go on in.
Yeah. Eric.
What equipment do you use when you do a storm? Like some of it.
What equipment do you use regularly for a storm?
Yeah.
Ooh, so regularly is a dash cam, and regularly is that radar scope app that I talked about on the phone. And then we also carry an extra laptop with us, just so we have a bigger screen to look at. So cameras, phone, and computer. Great question. I'm actually just down the road from y'all in Little Elm. So hi.
Cool. How neat is that? See, back when the world opens up again, we can do live presentations, but it hasn't really fun today to see kids in classrooms. It's very exciting and not very common these days. So way to go. Keep safe, guys. I love this question from YouTube. Miss McMahon's class in Welland wants to know, do you think the warning system for extreme storms is adequate? You've seen sort of extreme storms impact communities. Do you think that the way they go about it and sharing it with communities is up to the task?
I do overall, yes. In fact, it's for some, it's annoying to some parts because we'll get complaints or we'll get comments post events and it's like, oh, it wasn't as bad as you said it was going to be, or so we don't hype weather events. We simply talk about what could be, and we talk about both ends of that, like on the lower end and on the higher end. So warnings, I do feel like are adequate, especially when you have more than one way. Do not rely on the word of mouth of social media. Have a way to get it on your phone through text or email or a phone call. I have all of those, and I feel like I'm very well covered for warnings.
Yeah, I think it's the best possible scenario to get extra texts that say there might be a tornado on the way to not get those. So in the annals of the complaints, they're not worth having. Oh no, the tornado wasn't that bad.
Yeah, right.
Awesome. Let's head back to Tina's group and then the Castro family. And then if our classrooms have any more, they can let me know in the chat bar. But I will go to our 2 live families before we wrap up. So Tina, if you have another one for us, come on in. Go for it.
Yes. Hi. The other question was, do any of your children have the same interests in storm chasing as you?
No, he's tuned in enough. In fact, when he'll ask to pull up the weather radar and look if he can tell that the skies are getting dark. He's actually been on a couple of very low end chases with us, more or less driving an hour west and watching a shelf cloud with lightning come in. That's the extent I've let him come along. So he did write an article about me in kindergarten. His teacher asked the kindergarten students to talk about what their parents do. So I wish I could pull it up, but it's on my social media too. He drew a picture of me with one eye and with a camera in my hand and with a tornado and lightning. So he is absolutely aware of what I do. I wouldn't say he wants to do what I do, but he finds it interesting enough. Good question.
That is that your kid won the parent job.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. So way to go. Let's go back to the Castro family. If you guys have one more question, great. Again, for our live classrooms, let me know in the chat, and I will take a few more from YouTube before we wrap up as well. So Castro family, do you guys have another question?
What's your question, Cambry? Do you track lightning storms?
Ooh.
Absolutely. Lightning is one of those things that if we can't see a tornado, our next bet to try to see are some really cool cloud structures and lightning, especially at night. I have a lot of lightning photos on our Texas Storm Chasers page as well as my own. So absolutely, lightning is just as awesome.
Yeah.
Good question.
Very, very cool. I'm going to take a question related to that on YouTube, which has been a lot of classrooms have asked this, which is, where is it? Oh, there we go. Yes, Warner Elementary. Have you ever seen a hurricane? Have you ever chased a hurricane, followed a hurricane, or not?
No, but that is my goal for 2021. I had a lot of friends who chased hurricane. In fact, 2 of our Texas Storm Chasers, Alex and Jason, chased multiple hurricanes and tropical storms last year. I feel like that they would be alongside my spouse to be able to go chase a hurricane with. So stay tuned. 2021 might be my year for that. Thank you.
Fingers crossed. We'll follow up once you do. We'd love to see footage of that. That'd be super, super cool. All right, one last one from YouTube from Kuntz Intermediate from Mr. Neal's class. Has a tornado ever started coming towards you while you're watching it?
Yes, the Chapman, Kansas tornado. I have a video of it. We were west of it and it was moving east. So it kept moving east and we just kind of stayed with it. But then it started creeping back west toward us and we had to get south, away from it. So yes, tornadoes have definitely crept our way before. Yeah. Good question.
Not the best scenario to be in. You want to avoid that.
But I'm here for it.
Cool for you. Great job. Let's head to Miss Emery's class first, and then we'll wrap up with Miss Foster's in a minute. So Miss Emery's class, just demute that microphone, and you guys are good to go. Hi.
We have 4 questions. Mia.
How many cars have you broken?
How many cars have you broken? Ask one more, guys. We're going to take 2 questions from you guys, okay? So how many cars have you broken? And
I was going to ask, what is your favorite thing about being a storm chaser?
Favorite thing about being a storm chaser? Nice.
So I've only had the one car that I've chased in, and it's still holding up at 157,000 miles, knock on wood. My favorite thing about storm chasing is just being out in the middle of Mother Nature. We are so bogged down with everyday life, which is a good thing. We have our families, we have our jobs, we have bills, we have all these things coming at us constantly. To be able to escape and witness Mother Nature at its strongest and finest is probably the number one thing I love about storm chasing. It's just getting out in the middle of it and just letting it happen. So great questions. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. And then Miss Foster's class, wrap us up with another question. Go for it. Hi, guys.
We just had a tornado hit near us a couple of weeks ago. Why are there so many in Alabama?
So a lot of storm chasers will attribute this to it being a La Nina year, which just means kind of a different shift in the jet stream. Also, the moisture, how much it rains and how much it doesn't, has a lot to do with it. So in the winter months, it's usually not that uncommon for the Southeast to see that kind of weather. So Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, even Florida, North Florida just had a tornado near Tallahassee last week. So this time of year, it's not that uncommon, but I think a lot of it has to do with it being a La Nina year too. So hopefully that changes in March, April, May, comes back to Tornado Alley.
Yeah, it's really interesting to note where storms hit in the world. United States actually has more storms of more kinds than any other country in the world. You guys are kind of unlucky in that way. But
yep.
Yes, there are more tornadoes in the U.S. than anywhere else by a significant margin on Earth. So you're sort of a unique ecosystem there, especially in sort of the Midwest and Texas, Oklahoma area. So great question, guys.
Yes.
This has been so much fun. We have more questions than we could possibly answer in any broadcast. Again, well over 400 kids tuning in. So welcome in from across the continent. Super, super exciting to have you all here. What I want to do now is just bring up two quick notes. If you guys want to learn more about Texas Storm Chasers, check out the website just below that I brought up in the banner. And then Chelsea also mentioned the Young Meteorologist program. So do check that out when you're done. Great program, lots of great resources to keep the learning going. Finally, for groups interested in exploring by the seat of your pants, February 12th through 14th, our Women's Festival. It's going to be incredible. So I hope you guys get the chance to learn more and tune in at the website below. Chelsea, before we wrap up with a big thank you to the classes, is there any last message you want to share with us about storm chasing or anything to leave us with today?
Oh, just that I was a child who grew up with a very severe stutter. I never thought it was something that I would get past. So if you have something in life that you want to accomplish, do not let those things get you down. It took me up until I was 32 years old to be able to do this, what I'm doing today. So don't wait that long. Don't let any of that get in the way of the goals and dreams that you have. So with that, I'm so grateful to be able to have talked to you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. And again, I'll bring in our classes. So Tina, the Castro family, Miss Emery's class, and Miss Foster's group. Thank you guys so much for joining me.